This morning on The Dish, acclaimed chef Ignacio Mattos. Born in Uruguay, he grew up eating local specialties, but also the fresh pastas made by his Italian grandmother, who was his first major food influence. Later came other mentors, including the legendary Alice Waters and California's Chez Panisse.
He eventually moved to New York and in 2013 opened Estela, named one of Bon Appetit's best new restaurants. And later, two other venues, including Flora Bar, which led Esquire magazine to name him Chef of the Year. Hot stuff. And Estela Mattos' debut cookbook was just released. Chef Ignacio Mattos, welcome to The Dish. Good morning. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me here.
Tell us about this great spread.
So we have a couple of different things. So we have some scallops on that side of the table. We serve it with some peas and some collard greens. We have some steak served with some delicious sauce. That is this funky Italian cow's milk cheese.
Funky Italian cow's milk cheese?
Right.
It's really good.
Right? Some Brussels sprouts with it. And then we have a salad of persimmons, kohlrabi, pine nuts, and some celery leaves. And for dessert, we're doing chocolate and black sesame ganache with some whipped cream and cocoa nibs. It's like a pretty decadent sauce. And
we like decadent.
We do too, and the drink.
And what is a decadent thing? It's a celery Negroni.
A celery Negroni?
Yeah, it's some cheese.
The color was so nice. I started drinking this in the break. I have to confess. I was just so drawn to it.
Yes.
So I want to take you to your cookbook because this is just out, and I thought it was fascinating reading about it, that you said the hardest part of doing it was just sort of leaving the recipes alone. Why was that so difficult to just put those words down and leave it alone?
Just like at a restaurant, you always have that chance of you kind of adjust and change your mind, and the following day you're doing little tweaks on the dish, and it's just a different way of working, you know? Usually we have another chance, and just having to give it away and put it out to the world and saying that's it.
I can't add a tweak here and a little.
No, and I try. And I get into trouble a couple times. So, yeah, I learned the hard way. But, it's done.
You got your Italian influence from your grandmother.
Yep, that's the one. So, yeah, we would make pastas every week, 2-3 times a week, and, help and, get smacked for not doing it right. But, yeah. She's been the biggest influence probably on the way, that's how she expressed love and care and attention for everyone, So.
And what was the first job in the food industry then for you when you sort of left your grandmother in that regard?
So I started doing some catering with a couple old ladies and a dog.
Pseudo-grandma.
And a dog, and we would work overnight. And soon after that, I started working with an Argentinian chef called Francis Malman.
Yes.
We've heard of him.
Yeah, so I worked for Francis for a long time, and also a big influence on the way I.
How did he influence you?
I think it's focusing on the ingredient, as you see the food, and you can see it on the cookbook. It's very ingredient driven. So the idea is to highlight these ingredients and focus it on the integrity and the qualities of this ingredient without doing a lot, but elevating to a point that you are wow, I would never imagine that Brussels sprouts could taste like that. Yeah. Or perhaps celery, that it's one of those ingredients that's who wants to eat celery anyway, right?
Yeah. So when you opened Estela, this is your trademark here. You've actually said that the ambiance, oh gosh, this seems like blasphemy. The ambiance is more important necessarily sometimes than the food?
I think all elements that need to be taken into consideration. The food, it's if you go to a restaurant, that's what you do. You're supposed to provide a really good dish and plate, right? But aside from that, it's all these elements. It's the person that greets you at the door. It's how people pick up the phone. It's the music, the lighting.
It's the experience.
The experience.
Yeah. How did you feel about the reaction you got when you opened the restaurant?
It's funny because I was talking to the landlord, and he was like, "You told me you were going to do a wine bar. And now you have this fancy restaurant, well-known, what happened?
Yeah.
What did happen?
Yeah.
How dare you be successful like that?
We just, I think it's all these tiny little things. They were aligned tweaks, and and people just responded in a very incredible way. All the restaurants are focused on the neighborhood in
Yeah.
the community. So for me, it's very important to cater to that. I think in New York, particularly, we appreciate this spot that and they recognize you and it's like, hey, good to see you, welcome back, and it's the intimacy of it.
Where everybody knows your name.
Well, we
Yeah.
know your name here, certainly, and as you add it to the dish, if you could have a meal with anyone past or present, who would it be?
That's a good question. I would say Keith Richards.
Keith Richards. All right.
Fantastic.
It is a
We
good
would
one.
enjoy that one very much. Chef Ignacio Mattos, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And for more on Chef Mattos and the dish, you can head to our website at cbsthismorning.com.